What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another Star Wars news roundup. Kind of a slow week this past week, but we still got some fun quotes and things to discuss. We're going to start off with some Book of Boba Fett news. In an interview, Temuera Morrison said Jon Favreau has come up with some magical formulas. We've got some great directors on board: Robert Rodriguez, Favreau, Bryce Dallas Howard, Dave Filoni. And that's basically it. He basically just dropped a list of directors, which is exciting, but also not surprising at all.
Yeah, I mean, they knocked their episodes out of the park in Mando. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm very excited to see what else Bryce Dallas Howard is going to bring to Star Wars, because I really enjoyed her episode.
After the Heiress, yeah, that Bo-Katan episode.
Yeah.
And not to mention, Jon Favreau, I'm really glad he's doing another one because the Marshal is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole crew, I'm happy they're back. It makes a lot of sense. It lines up with what we've heard, that people are kind of considering this The Mandalorian Season 2.5. Like, it sounds like it's still very much a part of that universe. It's going to push that story forward. So yeah, that just makes me happier that, you know, we might not be getting The Mandalorian Season 3, but we kind of are.
Kinda.
Yeah.
We're getting a prelude to it.
Yeah, and I mean, it'll have a different feel to it, and that's just leading us straight into the second story on the Star Wars Sessions podcast, which I'm going to link to in the description. Stunt double Brendan Wayne said, "I think there will be a lot less introductions and a lot more going back towards the first season of delving deeper into the character and things like that. Have I read a script? No. Have I heard some things? Sure." He also said that Boba is a grittier character than Mando, and mentioned that Robert Rodriguez has described his take on Boba Fett as all killer, no filler. Which I don't really think there was any filler in The Mandalorian yet either. I mean, it's only 16 episodes, so...
Yeah, there's no room for filler in that show, really.
I definitely see people, or why people would be like, Sanctuary. Maybe that feels like a filler episode. I disagree, because I think it's a vital part of learning who Din is, and that he's not ready to settle down and leave the bounty hunting life. But yeah, that doesn't really surprise me, I guess, that it's all killer, no filler, and also just seeing Robert Rodriguez's initial take on Boba Fett and how intense he made that character.
Yeah, all this is well-known knowledge that you can assume about what this show's going to be like. I mean, yes, Boba Fett is definitely a grittier character than Mandalorian, and all killer, no filler just really sounds like something Robert Rodriguez would put as a tagline to like a Grindhouse movie or something like that. Like, I would love to see like a Boba Fett episode or story set like a Grindhouse movie.
I'm so excited. I think I've said this before multiple times, but I'm so excited to see what Rodriguez does with the volume. He got to work with it a little bit in his episode, but the fact that we know he's doing, I think Morrison said he did a couple, so at least 2 episodes. He's going to do a lot more, and I'm excited to see how he handles it. I also like what Brendan says about it's going to be more like season 1. Like, we've introduced our cast now, and yeah, maybe Cobb Vanth shows up, maybe Bo-Katan, maybe Din all appear in this, but it's not so much about like bringing more and more people in. We're going to spend some time with them and dive into character a little bit more, and I'm very excited about that. How many episodes do you think it's going to be? Just to throw a random question at you.
Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah.
I'll say 6.
That's kind of what I was thinking for some reason. I'm hoping for 8, just to keep it in line with Mando. And
yeah, 6 to 8. I mean, we have no idea what the story is, so I don't know how long or how short it's going to take to tell said story. So
I'm hoping for 8, but for some reason 6 is like my gut feeling. Just no, like that's what Falcon and the Winter Soldier did. That's what Loki has done.
I think the idea of calling it like a season 2.5 makes us just think it's going to be pretty short.
Yeah, I guess that's probably where that's coming from. But we're going to move on to a little bit of movie news. We talked about Rogue Squadron last week, and we have a little bit more. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Patty Jenkins was asked what it's like working on Star Wars, and she said, "It's an entirely different way of working. I'm on the phone with all of them and doing Zoom meetings with everybody involved in Star Wars all the time. I'm fairly free to do the story that we want to do, but you really need to know who's done what, who's doing what, where it goes and how it works, and what designs have been done before. It's a whole other way of working that I'm getting up to speed on." Which, again, any Rogue Squadron news, I'm going to eat it up, even if it's not surprising. I like hearing that, yeah, they're having talks about not just Rogue Squadron, her movie, but also what else is going on. Like, that's kind of primarily what I have heard or read that the story group is in charge of, not like dictating what a storyteller can or can't do, but being like, someone else is already working on a story that's like this and just trying to eliminate repetition, which still sometimes we get kind of repetitive stories, but for the movies, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. This is great sounding news to me. It sounds like Patty Jenkins is really like getting immersed in Star Wars and the universe as a whole. And the idea of her wanting to know what's going on in all these different places and different ways and wanting to know who's working on what just makes me think that this is going to feel so much better prepared than the sequel trilogy was.
I hope so. I mean, that's like, this feels like a story. I've said this before where like they made the sequel trilogy. Those were the first movies announced because Disney wanted to make their $4 billion back, not necessarily because they had a story they wanted to tell. This sounds like Patty Jenkins is like, I have a story I want to tell. Like, her dad was a fighter pilot. She loves fighter pilot stories. She loves Star Wars. And yeah, I'm just like getting this enthusiasm from her. She's like going through the old X-Wing books and the video games for inspiration and like making sure she's honoring all that stuff that came before. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It just feels like there's a story we want to tell here, and we're going to tell it. And I really love that. The last thing I wanted to talk about was some book news. StarWars.com released the synopsis for Ronin, the upcoming tie-in book for Star Wars Visions, and it's kind of wild. The synopsis reads, "The Jedi are the most loyal servants of the Empire. 2 decades ago, Jedi clans clashed in service to feuding lords. Sickened by this endless cycle, a sect of Jedi rebelled, seeking to control their own destiny and claim power in service of no master. They called themselves Sith. The Sith rebellion failed, succumbing to infighting and betrayal, and the once rival lords unified to create an empire. But even an empire at peace is not free from violence. Far on the edge of the Outer Rim, one former Sith wanders, accompanied only by a faithful droid and the ghost of a less civilized age. He carries a lightsaber but claims lineage to no Jedi clan and pledges allegiance to no lord. Little is known about him, including his name, for he never speaks of his past nor his regrets. His history is as guarded as the red blade of destruction he carries sheathed at his side. As the galaxy's perpetual cycle of violence continues to interrupt his self-imposed exile and he is forced to duel an enigmatic bandit claiming the title of Sith, it becomes clear that no amount of wandering will ever let him outpace the specters of his former life."
Whoa.
I'm going to put that as like a crawl of the...
Yeah.
That's what I think I need to do, but I love that so much. I mean, it sounds wild because it's like the Jedi are the servants of the Empire.
Yeah, that part just makes you do a double take. You're like, what?
And like this kind of... We still haven't gotten a full-on origin of the Sith in canon. It just kind of matches with Legends stuff, but just, yeah, the Sith rebelled and it fell to infighting, and like now there's this former Sith wandering around who's gonna be a hero and probably get some redemption, I assume, against another Sith.
And he's haunted. I don't know if that's metaphorically or
Maybe.
Literally. He's got like a force ghost hanging out with him.
Who knows?
Yeah, this story sounds amazing.
I mean, just the way that the synopsis was written, I'm like, yeah, give me that. It's not canon. It's described as an alternate history pulled from Japanese lore. I love it.
Yeah. I love everything that they're doing with Star Wars Visions and with this book. Just the idea of it is so new and fresh, but it's got familiar pieces like the Jedi and the Sith. So yeah, this feels like something that a lot of people could get into.
It's definitely new for me, just being kind of like, very canon and analytically minded, and having more. It'll be a good exercise for me to just let that go and enjoy a Star Wars story and not wonder about where does this fit and what does this mean for other things. Nothing. It's just a cool story.
Yeah, and we're not going to be seeing any cameos from any characters that we already know. We're not going to be wondering how it fits onto the timeline or how it works into other characters' storylines, because it's all new and different.
It feels very free, I have to say. I love that.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like I said, kind of a short week, slower week in news. So we'll be back next week if there is news to talk about. But until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch.
And consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.